6 News 4 at 5 starts right now.
You're watching NBC4, Washington's news leader. Now, live in HD, this is News 4 at 5.
It's our top story tonight. Dangerous heat now wreaking havoc on half of our country and shattering records here in our area. The temperatures have already soared into the triple digits, and it's not over yet. Welcome. I am Wendy Rieger.
I'm Pat Lawson-Muse, sitting in for Jim Hanley. Well, you know it, the heat is on today, and it's making life miserable for anybody who has to go outdoors and venture away from that AC. Tonight we have team coverage, and we begin with Chief Meteorologist Doug Kammerer, who's tracking the heat and the severe storms that are now moving in on us. Doug?
And normally you say severe storms, and that's going to lead our newscast, but fortunately for us, we need those storms to help cool us down from this very intense heat. Outside right now, let's show you live Doppler radar, and you can see where the rain is and the thunderstorms. Some very intense storms right now just to the south of Winchester, also right around the district. We'll go ahead and zoom on into these two storms here. One storm right now right around River Road into Montgomery County, right on the border of Virginia and Fairfax County. That storm around 189 has now begun to weaken just a little bit. The stronger storm is right now around the Oakton area. We're watching out for that one starting to develop. And then back towards the west, this is the storm that now has some severe thunderstorm warnings associated with this. Right around Front Royal, this one has had a history of producing some wind damage in parts of the area. Now, you know temperatures are on the hot side, up to 101 degrees at the airport with a heat index of 116. The rest of the area right now, 104 in Manassas, 102 in Culpeper, and 105 in Baltimore. Incredible temperatures, but also notice temperatures cooling off back behind those storms. Only 88 right now in Leesburg. Heat index right now in the Washington area, 120 in La Plata, 116 in Washington. Outside right now is meteorologist Chuck Bell. And Chuck, we've been looking at that heat index throughout the afternoon, but not just the heat index. These temperatures are breaking records.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Doug. We've been crushing records all day long today. The live report from out here on the front lawn at Channel 4, we are down 10 whole degrees now in the last hour. When I came to you at 4 o'clock, we were 104. Current temperature now 94 degrees behind a little gust front that went on through. But man, you're right. The heat indexes remain very high around the area right now. Heat index values still hovering around 110 to 115 degrees, anywhere where the gust front hasn't made it through or where the cooling showers haven't made it through as well. 116 downtown, 120 in La Plata. As far as records that have been broken, early this morning at National Airport, we only dropped down to a low temperature of 83 degrees. That set a new record for a minimum temperature. The old record was 81, set back in the 1980s, 1987. And on the other end of that, Dulles International Airport has set a new all-time record high. The old record was 104 that had been reached twice. Now officially today, Dulles International, 105 degrees, the hottest temperature ever recorded out there, Doug.
Yeah, it really is amazing, Chuck, that we're setting these records, not just records, but all-time records. I don't think we're going to get there quite during the day tomorrow, but I do think that we're going to see some very warm temperatures out there. I'll show you just how warm we get tomorrow and when we see some relief coming up in our full forecast.
All right. Thank you, Doug. Well, the heat is already taking a toll. It's creating some serious health concerns. It's even more difficult for those who have no choice but to be outside. Derek Ward is live on the National Mall where he had no choice but to be outside. So how are you handling it out there, Derek?
Well, you know, it's not too bad. I'm wearing the light colors. We've had a little respite from the bright sun now. It's actually gone behind the clouds. And most of the days we've been out reporting, I've been wearing something like this. And the old technology helps, you know. Simple straw hat keeps the sun out of your face and kind of keeps your head from turning to bacon. But for a lot of people who had to be out today, it's going to take more than a hat to cope. Early afternoon, those outdoor temperature signs were attractions, but the oppressive heat had already begun to take its toll by morning. This man, who tends a parking lot, succumbed and needed medical attention.
He came inside to get cool, and he was doing okay, but I noticed that he was getting a little bit worse, a little bit progressively worse. And as he was cooling down, he was getting a little agitated, and he started getting a headache.
For a man described as a great guy by customers, that was cause for alarm.
He started to call the ambulance.
Now, among those who were out, some could actually bear the high temperatures.
It felt hotter to me yesterday than it does today for some reason.
But his livelihood was not spared the effects of temperatures that exceeded the century mark.
There are less people out here today. For lunchtime today, there were a lot fewer people on the street. The hype, when they hear the weather, the index, 112 degrees, they don't come out.
We admire your fortitude dancing through this heat advisory.
Now, some folks chose to be out, like for this kid's concert in the grounds at Wolf Trap.
Zoom in on the sweat, and that'll explain.
But even among the sylvan settings of the theater in the woods, staying cool was a priority and a challenge.
There's not much of a breeze, so we had to make sure we had lots of ice in the cooler and water for the kids, and just trying to keep cool. Usually they want to dance at the concert, and so we didn't do too much of that today.
Yeah. Now, you saw some folks who had to be on stage and sort of maintain some cool composure. Suppose you're doing an operatic production. You've got to go in full costume, makeup, and under those hot lights. How do you stay cool then? Well, that's exactly what's happening at Wolf Trap later at the Filing Center. They're doing a production of Sweeney Todd. How did the actors cope? We'll have that coming up on News 4 at 6. We're live on the Mall. Now back to you.
Well, I would put the hat back on, Derek. You wear it well, and it certainly it makes a difference today. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Today's dangerous heat forced the University of D.C. to close its Van Ness campus. School officials say on extremely hot days, the older AC unit, it just doesn't cool the buildings properly. So out of concern for the health of the students and staff, the university went ahead and just canceled classes on the main campus.
The heat is also taking a toll on metro riders today, riders who are finding hot cars and broken escalators. According to the transit agency's website, nearly a quarter of the system's escalators are broken, and marked trains are also under speed restrictions, which could lead to delays. To keep passengers cool, the train system put out free bottles of water yesterday and plans to do the same today.
Well, despite the warnings, there are still people braving the outdoors. A number of families taking their kids out early this morning for a dip at the YMCA pool in Silver Spring, and the heat didn't stop a yoga boot camp from doing its classes this morning. They say they're just staying in the shade and taking lots of extra water breaks. It's, I guess, a form of hot yoga.
Yeah, there you go. But we aren't the only ones broiling in this sizzling heat. A huge section of the country is in the oven. Triple-digit temperatures have people sweltering from Kansas to Maine. In New York, Central Park hit 104 degrees today. It's the second hottest day in history for the park. The heat is blamed for at least 22 deaths across the plains and the Midwest. And power companies are on high alert, telling people to conserve energy in order to avoid power outages.
To this point, I think the system has been performing well. But as expected, we've been having some scattered outages throughout the city, and we expect it to continue probably throughout the weekend.
By the weekend, the Northeast is expected to cool off, but we're expecting to roast until at least early next week. And stay with News 4 for continuing coverage of the heat warning. For the very latest, head to our website, NBCWashington.com. You can also join the conversation on Twitter with the hashtag #BeatTheHeat.
We have some breaking news. It's about Ward 5 D.C. Council member Harry Thomas. He has agreed now to repay $300,000 to settle a lawsuit brought against him by the D.C. government. Thomas was accused of using the city's money on a luxury SUV, golf outings, and sporting equipment. He's denied any wrongdoing. Under today's agreement, he would neither deny or admit wrongdoing. He'll have to pay $50,000 immediately and $50,000 every 6 months until the debt is paid off. Thomas is still subject to a more serious criminal investigation conducted by the federal U.S. Attorney's Office. There is still no deal to raise the debt limit, and the August 2nd deadline fast approaching. Projections vary on what exactly would happen if the government hits its credit limit, but many experts agree there is a potential of economic chaos. Meanwhile, the cut, cap, and balance plan to drastically cut federal spending, it died today in the Senate. Talks between the president and congressional leaders, they're expected to continue through the weekend. The president also tried to make his case at a town hall meeting at the University of Maryland this morning. Jane Wottrell joins us now in the studio to tell us about how that went for him. Jane?
When the hour-long town hall meeting was in Ritchie Coliseum, the president telling the crowd that the way to solve the debt crisis is a mix of deep spending cuts and new tax revenue. Serving as his own moderator, President Obama took questions from members of the audience. One of them from University of Maryland senior Aaron Kaufman, who has cerebral palsy. Kaufman pleaded for Mr. Obama to protect disability funding from the Budget Act.
I feel that oftentimes with politicians, you need to see a human face before you make a critical decision such as this. And so my point was to say we may not have the biggest lobby, but we're here.
Also in the crowd, Eileen and Glenn Krause, who are also worried about the impact of the debt crisis on their family.
I have a daughter with a brain injury who is in a facility. I'm very, very concerned for their funding. She's in a wonderful, wonderful program, but it is very precarious as to whether that program will be able to continue.
During the town hall meeting, the president called repeatedly for a balanced approach to solving the debt crisis, saying wealthy Americans need to pay more in taxes if cuts are made to Medicare and Medicaid.
This isn't about punishing wealth. This is about asking people who have benefited the most over the last decade to share in the sacrifice. And I think these patriotic Americans are willing to pitch in if they're asked.
But Republicans want huge spending cuts to reduce the country's massive national debt and oppose any increase in taxes. Those in attendance say there must be some middle ground.
We do have to compromise. It's not Republicans against Democrats. We're in this together. We have to compromise and do what's best for the whole.
Both sides may be inching closer to a deal. House Speaker John Boehner has reportedly told GOP lawmakers that a deal may be in the works for the House to consider by Wednesday of next week.
All right, Jane Wottrell. Thank you, Jane.
The nation of Norway is reeling from its worst violence since World War II. Today, a powerful bomb ripped open buildings in the heart of Norway's government. The blast at the Prime Minister's office killed at least 7 people, but the Prime Minister was working at home and was not injured. Then a man dressed as a police officer opened fire at an island youth camp connected to Norway's ruling party. Police estimate as many as 10 people were killed in the shootings at the camp. The suspected gunman is now in custody.
Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley says he will sponsor same-sex marriage legislation. The governor said he'll put his name on a bill for the next General Assembly, which begins in January. A marriage equality bill passed in the state Senate last year, but failed in the House. O'Malley says he believes with certain changes it can pass this time around. Coming up at 6, we're going to hear how Governor O'Malley plans to take a similar approach to New York's. New York, as you know, recently passed the marriage equality law.
Next and new at 5, caught in the act. Surveillance video rolls as thousands of dollars in copper gets swiped. Wait till you hear how thieves pull this off, and no one suspected a thing.
More heartache for Maria Shriver. Her youngest son was rushed to the ICU. We'll tell you why.
After months of monitoring, it turns out the giant panda at the National Zoo isn't pregnant after all, but there's still reason to celebrate.
And you're watching News 4 at 5. We are just getting started. Are talking about their son's surfing accident last weekend in Malibu. 13-year-old Christopher Schwarzenegger was boogie boarding when this happened. He suffered several broken bones, ribs, and a collapsed lung. Schwarzenegger was in the ICU. It's unclear what condition he's in tonight. Arnold and Maria Schwarzenegger issuing a statement today saying Chris is a brave boy and he is expected to make a full recovery.
With almost 750,000 riders a day, Metro has a tall task to keep commuters cool. But this week, the extreme heat has been wilting both man and machine, causing air conditioners to malfunction, trains to be delayed, and riders to sweat as they climb broken escalators. News 4's Melissa Millay has more on how Metro is handling the heat from DuPont Circle.
Here at DuPont Circle early Friday morning, 6 escalators out of service, leaving customers a little hot under the collar.
Metro's been sticky, sweaty, hot.
For Metro riders, workers can't fix the hot cars or these broken down escalators quickly enough. The extreme heat has been tough for everyone, crews and commuters alike.
When they get on and see that it's hot, they want to turn around, and then the doors are closing on people, so that was hectic.
Crews system-wide working overtime this week to repair escalators and any cars without air conditioning. Out of the fleet's 1,128 cars, 45, or about 4%, were reported as hot hot Thursday. Once a hot car is reported, one of the system's 40 maintenance technicians will meet the train to try and cool things down.
They can radio ahead and have those car maintenance folks step aboard either to troubleshoot it, and if they can't fix it, they'll take the car out of service.
Part of the problem, when trains wait, they typically do so with their doors open, losing lots of cool air. It's something a Metro spokesman says they're trying to change.
Bring a towel with you or something, because you got to wipe all the sweat off.
Another issue, the tracks. The outside temperature plus the sunlight can actually heat them to 140 degrees, and at that temperature, a track can lose its shape.
It's about as bad as it gets. They're making do.
Others, though, not having such a terrible time.
It's been hot, but actually the car I was on yesterday going home was air conditioned, and it was great, so Metro's been doing a pretty good job.
Rider Barbara Crowley might be hot, but she's definitely happy about one thing.
It's been on time, though. It's been on time.
Metro officials say if the AC is indeed out in a car that you're riding in, make sure to alert the driver by pushing the emergency intercom. In DuPont Circle, Melissa Millay, News 4.
Well, it's a tough day to have to climb escalators at any Metro station, but
for sure.
Newsflash,
yes,
there is relief upon us.
There really is, and this is really cool. We had a big-time thunderstorm, a severe thunderstorm up around the Hagerstown area. That thunderstorm has completely died out, but it sent out a boundary that has cooled us all down by about 10 to 15 degrees. Let's show you what's happening outside right now, where we do have some rain across the area. You can see still very hazy around the Washington, D.C. area, but it is cooler out there right now in many locations. Digital Doppler radar right now showing you where the rain is. We do have some rain back to the west around Shenandoah County. That's a severe storm. These are some big-time storms here. Another severe thunderstorm warning right now here, and then we had a severe thunderstorm Fairfax County, but that one's died out, and now a new storm has developed, and it's all along this boundary. Line right here, you can actually see it making its way down across the area. It came through Leesburg. It was 102. Next hour, 93. It came through the Washington, D.C. area. It was 102 here at our studio. Outside right now, 94 degrees. So about a 10 to 15 degree temperature drop as that boundary has made its way through. That same boundary also kicking off showers and thunderstorms. You can see a couple of those right here, right around the Fairfax County area, one around northwest Washington actually starting to pour right here in our studios. We're, of course, at 4001 Nebraska Avenue. There is that little cell right there in northwest D.C. This
Why are you recording
right
this?
Came through Oakton, and here is that line. So Mount Vernon, Alexandria, down towards Fort Belvoir, Dale City, you're still very, very hot. But over the next 15 to 20 minutes, you're going to see this line go through. You're going to see the wind pick up a little bit, and you're going to see those temperatures really relax. The heat index will also relax. Nokesville, it's coming on you right now. You've probably seen the wind start to pick up into your area, and it will continue to do so. So this was the temperature at the top of the hour, 101 degrees. But right now, we're at 94 degrees. How about that? Current temperatures, and you can see what I'm talking about. 88 in Leesburg, 88 in Gaithersburg. That is a 14-degree temperature difference between La Plata and Gaithersburg. Just amazing, all because of one storm up in Hagerstown that really helped to cool us down. So we are going to get some relief. Culpeper, Manassas, La Plata, Washington. I'm not sure how far that boundary is going to make it to the south. So Fredericksburg, down towards Patuxent River, you may not see that difference, and you really need to see it because La Plata right now, you're at 123 with the heat index, 123 in Fredericksburg, and 114 in Patuxent River. But right now, Leesburg, only 93 degrees. What a difference that heat or that air mass is making. Hazy, hot, and humid conditions today, but I do think there will be more relief tomorrow with a frontal boundary. That front will be to the north. A few showers and thunderstorms tomorrow. Still very hot with a temperature near 100 degrees. But then the relief really sets in, I think, on Sunday as we have a better chance of seeing some storms Sunday and into the day Monday. So this evening, extremely hot and uncomfortable, but cooler in some locations. 90 to 97 instead of those 100-degree numbers. Tomorrow morning, we'll wake up to temperatures in the upper 70s to lower 80s. As we move on through the day tomorrow, temperatures will climb again. 97 to 102 with storms possible. Hopefully those storms will form a little bit sooner rather than later to cool us down. 97 on our Sunday, 93 on Monday, and it does look like we finally cool down Tuesday to a high of about 90.
Some of us get the relief and some of us don't.
Pretty much. You know,
but it's nice to know someone's getting some relief, though, you know.
And it is very welcome. 15-degree temperature difference, that's huge.
All right.
Thanks, Don.
Coming up next, diamond or dud? How authorities say a local jeweler betrayed his customers and ended up in jail.
It's a dress fit for a princess. Now Kate Middleton's wedding gown is going on display, and anybody can see it for the right price.
It's like Groupon, but with a twist. You can score discounts and raise money for charity, and all you have to do is shop online.
Michael & Son Services, dependable service since 1976.
Some monitoring and around-the-clock testing. The National Zoo's giant female panda is not pregnant. A Chinese breeding expert was brought in to help Mei Xiang conceive, but she failed to conceive for the 5th year in a row. The good news is Mei Xiang will be back on display soon. And here's more encouraging news. This past Sunday, Shama, the red panda, gave birth to 2 female cubs. If all goes well, the red panda exhibit will reopen to the public in the fall. They're mighty cute.
Yeah. Well, a record number of visitors are expected to head to Buckingham Palace this weekend for a chance to see that royal wedding dress. Kate Middleton's dress, complete with its 9-foot train, silk veil, and 888 diamond-studded tiara, are on loan from the Queen, will be on display for the summer opening exhibition. Admission is $25, proceeds going towards renovating the royal palaces. Curators expect the dress to draw huge crowds of royal watchers.
There's so much work, so much wonderful craftsmanship that people can appreciate when they come and see it here, that I think it will be quite a revelation.
Also on display, Kate's shoes. Handmade high heels. The actual cake is also on display. Only the top 3 tiers, however, have been replaced. There is a bouquet, too, but it is a replica. She put that one down at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier there at the palace, original one.
Yes,
yeah, we love
remember.
it.
After the break, an elaborate crime, but the thieves weren't looking for cash. They were after copper. How the suspects allegedly used their job as cover.
A West Point cadet dies during a training exercise, and officials think the heat is to blame.
Deal or no deal, the player's next move in the NFL lockout.
The accent. Individuals interested in current job opportunities at NBC4 may contact the NBC4 job line at 202-885-4057 or go to NBCWashington.com. NBC4 is an equal opportunity employer.
More on the deadly heat wave. Officials at West Point Academy are trying to figure out